Hi, Andrew. My name is Brooke, and I've been using Blender for about 5 months now, just on my Apple MacBook Pro. And my question is, as somebody who wants to take their 3D work to the next level with Blender, what would you say are the minimum investments that I should make, whether it be graphics cards or certain kinds of computers or any kind of gear that you would say is definitely worth the money spending? And on the opposite side of that, is there anything that you think people tend to waste their money on that's not necessarily essential to bringing their 3D work to that next point? So I hope that was a good question. Thanks.
Yeah, very good question, Brooke. You mentioned you've got a MacBook Pro. Unfortunately, my advice is graphics cards, which is not very helpful for MacBook Pro users. But graphics card, nothing else really in terms of like value for money, good purchases that artists should make, really comes close to graphics cards. The reason being, yes, obviously your final render time will be lower, but more importantly, your ability to work in the viewport in rendered view mode and see in real time what's happening in your scene allows you to make thousands of creative decisions as opposed to working in wireframe mode because your graphics card is so slow, doing a bunch of stuff and then hitting render and then, getting distracted while it renders for 2 minutes and then coming back and going, oh, that's not what I need. And you can go from like maybe making like 3 creative decisions a day to 3,000 creative decisions per hour when you have a graphics card, which is able to work in almost real time, right? So if you've got the money for it and you can find them available, the 3090 is absolutely the best bang for your buck. It's like twice as fast, I think, as the previous one, the one that I've got, RTX Titans, and I think like half the price. It is amazing. We're entering into a new realm, as I said, for the trends of 2021 to look out for. I think real-time ray tracing, like honest, serious, not a fakery, real ray tracing, being in the viewport with the optics denoiser, it's there. So it's an exciting time. If you can get that, then that will have a huge impact on your output for sure. But anyways, the second half of your question was about what are the worst what are the things that people spend the money on that is the worst purchases? Let's just say that. Okay. By far, not even close, it is bad art schools. Okay. Which is important because most art schools are bad, in my honest opinion. It is true. There is probably nothing better for you that would help you have the biggest impact on your growth and success as an artist as finding an art teacher, a mentor, a coach who is really good and can give you targeted feedback to look at what's going wrong and what your problems and weaknesses are and addressing them so that you can get over that hurdle and get to the next stage quicker rather than slaving over it for months while self-learning, okay? I totally recognize that and I see there is a huge value in art schools. The problem is that you as a beginner and as somebody looking to to join an art school are in the worst possible situation to make that call of whether or not the art school is good because you know nothing about it. It's like, I don't know anything about basketball, okay? And let's say there were basketball schools, right? I would be in the worst position to make a decision on which basketball school was the best one for me because I don't know the first thing about basketball. I actually did it for I was thinking 5 or 6 years as a kid, but I've completely forgotten it. Okay. I wouldn't know the first thing about it. So what am I looking for? I'm just going to be completely I'll just go up to the salesman, which let's be honest, that's what the orientation people are, they're salesmen. And I'm just ready to be steamrolled by whatever, words they want to throw at me and show me the beautiful campuses and, oh, look at this. And then they throw in stuff like, oh, and one of the alumni last year just got picked up by this, amazing studio or going back to art schools, they always list the achievements of the alumni, right? Why do they only list 1 or 2 students out of the last alumni? That is a huge red flag, okay? The fact that you had 200 people graduate last year and you've only got 1 or 2 of them that are at a studio now, that's a huge red flag. But of course, you don't think that, and you're ready to, you want to believe. It's like that poster, the UFO. I want to believe. When you're in that position, when you've been sold on the beautiful campuses and the facilities and the amazing, the thing, and we've got better this, and the other schools don't care about this, we do. You want to believe. You want to go like, yeah, I could see myself coming here, coming on the bus, or, living in the little boarding houses, whatever they call it, the housing, right? Maybe I'll meet my future husband or wife here, like that kind of thought. And you're sold in it, and you want to believe that when they list that, yeah, this alumni just got picked up by Pixar, you go like, wow, I can do it. I could get a job. And your brain doesn't want to think about the other 199 students who they're not talking about. That is criminal. I mean, honestly, what a lot of colleges are doing, I think, is borderline a scam. And they should know better, and they probably do know better. The fact that art is so hard to stand out. And it requires so much perseverance to punish yourself. Just get railroaded every single day you try. It's to go from, like, especially the early beginner stages. I'm thinking specifically about 2D, which is really, really punishing. It takes so much that traction to get up that hill. And you don't know at the start, if you've never done it before, if that's actually what you're interested in. And a lot of people do, like, they just sign up for it, right? And it's, yeah, man, I don't know what to do about it. I don't know what to do about it. I think, companies like the Rookies that I've talked about, that do a sort of an independent judgment of art schools around the world and show their ranking in comparison to other art schools. That's fantastic. I think that's a step in the right direction. But there's got to be like thousands of schools that aren't even listed on the site, which should tell you everything you need to know about those art schools, right? The fact that they're not listed on the industry standard website should tell you everything. It's not good. It's not a good look. If you were looking to sign up to an art school, I swear I'll do an episode on it at some point, but if you were looking to sign up for an art school, the things you could do to ensure that the school that you're going to sign up for is a good one is, first of all, see if they're on the Rookies. If they're not, that should be a huge warning, and you should want to walk away, because they should be. Okay. 2, and this is something that is really easy to do nowadays that we have the internet, but most people won't want to do because it requires a little bit of putting yourself out there, is to reach out to past students and ask their honest opinions. Okay, so this is really easy to do on Facebook, LinkedIn. Just type in the name of the school, and you'll see people that went to this school. Right? All you got to do is private message them and say, "Hey, I'm thinking of joining this program at the school that you went to. It's very expensive, as all art schools are, and I want to make sure I'm making the right decision. Would you mind if I asked you a few questions?" Okay. And then they say, "Oh yeah, sure." Most people want to help. They're like, "Yeah, sure, hit me up." And then your question should be, what did you like about the school? What did you dislike about the school? And particularly the class professor, whatever you got. What did you dislike about it? And then a very important question, the other students in your class, how many of them do you know are working now or have got a job because of graduating, right? That should tell you everything. And then there's also the NPS question. If you had to recommend, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely would you recommend the school to a friend or colleague, right? And if it's basically anything from 1 to 6, that's a detractor. That means no. That should tell you, nope, do not go to that school. If it's 7, it means it's passive. It's like, And if it's 8, 9, or 10, then it means that they're forgot the word for it, but it means that they're pro. The school, right? So that's a good thing. So those questions, right? And just, blast it out to 20 people. What's the worst thing they're going to say? No? Ignore you? Who cares? I know that means a lot, not getting a response when you're like, 16, 17. But no, it really doesn't matter. So that could save you so much money. And my God, if every student did that before enrolling in a university, we could save billions across the planet in debt. I swear to God. Because these schools are relying on the fact that you aren't going to do this. You aren't going to do your homework. And you want to believe, just like when you're ready to make a car purchase, it's exhausting going through all the options. You find something you like and you go, I know I'm on it. I like this one. This feature. Yeah, I like it for those reasons. And you just want to believe, right? And unfortunately, it hits you later on when you realize that you've signed up for an art school that is not only not teaching the correct advice, but the teacher themselves can be absolute shite. It just might not be right for you as well. Like there are some instructors online that have courses that I've signed up for that I know other people have enjoyed and have got a lot out of it. And I can't listen to more than like 5-10 minutes of it because I lose track of what they're talking about. They use so many big $10 words and they're talking about the theory and the mindset and you got to put yourself in the space and I'm like, this is all abstract, but some people get a lot out of it. You might end up with a teacher that just doesn't resonate with you. So, I mean, that is would be my biggest nightmare if I was signing up for a school and just realizing that I've been conned and that I have enrolled and I'm going to be spending $35,000 a year for 4 years to get the Bachelor of Arts or whatever, with a teacher who is going to put me to sleep and it's not going to help me. Or I'm going to show them my work and this is the moment. This is the moment. I've been working hard and I really want to know I'm struggling. How do I get to the next level? And I show them my work and then they go, it looks good. Probably work on, I think the shading could be, and I can tell looking at it that they're just like fumbling. They don't know the answer. It'd be my worst nightmare, right? How can you learn that lesson before signing up is the question. So anyways, that was a bit of a tangent to really go on, but the biggest waste of money, bad art schools, right? And it's so much bigger than everything else. It's like, I was thinking about I could also talk about books, books that you aren't going to read or, hardware that doesn't make an impact on what you're going to do. But no, it's art school. I mean, so many people, like every conference I go to, like half the people there are students, which is fine. It's great. And the fact that they're at a conference probably shows me that they're the ones who are going to succeed anyway. But there's so many people at art schools and a lot of them are not enjoying it. They're not happy. They tell you that their instructor is not good and that most of the class just slacks off and plays Call of Duty. And they show me the work from their group projects and they say that they did 90 to 99% of it because they're the only one in the group who actually knows how to use 3D software. And I believe them. And it looks awful. Like I would expect somebody with a month of Blender to have done better than what this school is churning out. And it just, it's like a stab through the heart. It's like, how can you do this? These schools are just robbing the next generation blindly. Anyways, yeah, so I ended up talking about art schools. Let's go to another question.